Welcome, 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 guys, to another episode of Spirit Inspired Conversations, a space where everyday conversations inspire deeper reflection, higher awareness, and a more conscious way of living. I am Minra,
I'm Dr. Linda.
and we are your hosts. Guys, we are at episode number 7. Wow. To think so much time has passed, so many episodes have been done. We're truly hoping that you've been inspired by the different topics that we've been discussing. And as we've been asking you guys, please comment, let us know if these thoughts are really engaging and if you are like really feeling what we're, delivering to you all, because it really helps us to give some sense of direction and understanding that you guys are you're getting the gist of what we're trying to deliver here. So I think today's episode is really special, guys. I think we've been working our way up to this episode, to really help you to see more of what is there for you with your life, but to do it in such a way that you kind of want to work on a few things or tweak a couple things before getting to this point. But this is one of the those core episodes where we're covering a really important topic that again take some work to get into, but I think with everything that we've discussed, you should feel really feel courageous towards pursuing this, right? So we're going to be talking about divine purpose, awakening to why you're here, really diving deep into that discussion. And I really hope, we really hope that in talking more about this, that you start actually, listening to what's going on inside of you. So Dr. Linda, do you think everyone is born with a unique purpose, or do you think, it's something that we kind of create based on our choices and experiences? What are your thoughts, Dr. Linda?
No, I absolutely believe everyone comes into this life with a predetermined purpose. When I say predetermined, I don't mean that every detail of our life is scripted and we have no choice, because we do have choice. I believe, though, that we are born with a soul blueprint, like a spiritual design that contains certain lessons, gifts, experiences, and contributions we are meant to make during this particular lifetime, or our particular lifetime, because again, I believe in reincarnation. So we have many lifetimes, but each one that we come into has a purpose for us. And if you think about it, I mean, and how that's set up is, it puts us on a path. And when we're born into a particular family, I mean, I could have been born in Vietnam, or I could have been born in Germany, and been a different I could have been German, I could have been a Vietnamese man, I could be anything, but I was born in to my particular family and my particular ethnicity, my particular body frame, my genetics were all predetermined to set me on a path of the experiences that I'm having in this particular lifetime. And it sets me up with experiences to have that helps me to move into my purpose. Some people are really clear. I mean, I have friends like, my best friend is a has a dance academy, and just from early on from college and even before then, she knew that she loved to dance, and she was a dancer, and that was her life. And she moved into a situation and created a space for her life, which really was able for her to express her purpose, which is helping young people, to particularly African American youth, to move into having a healthy life, appreciate dance. She has, there have been thousands of children that have come through her dance academy, some of which ended up being on Broadway, having their own dance studios. So for all of her life, She has been doing her purpose and been affecting people in a beautiful way. Some people, it takes them years, decades in order to discover what their purpose is. Some of us never discovered it. We're still living, we're still going through lessons in life, but we really haven't fulfilled the focus, the purpose that was designed for us. And you know, all of it is okay. But the more that we're connected to our divine purpose, the more we're able to give to the world. And for me, it's been I since I was, I guess, probably about, all right, full disclosure, okay, when I was in college, when I was 19, I was high. Okay, I smoked some weed. And I had gotten into this state where I felt like I had gotten into a meditative state where I was deep into myself. I just felt like I was looking inside and everything was black. And I was praying that I would be of service to the world. I didn't know in what way it would be. I didn't know. I didn't have to have accolades about it or whatever. I just wanted. I had a deep desire at that moment to really be of service to the world. And I think at that moment I connected to my purpose, which led me on a spiritual path that I'm still on. So, my point being that some of us know early on, and then some it takes longer, and some, again, don't connect with their purpose, but it's okay. But as we come in to this life to do our purpose, we come in with certain gifts and talents that help us to with our purpose, which is really, really, really amazing. Um, so as infants, we're born connected to our intuition, to our inner wisdom, and to our authentic selves. But then as we grow, we are conditioned by family expectations, by family experiences, culture, social media nowadays, and how success is defined. And over time, we become very disconnected from our our soul's guidance. And that's why when we talked, we had an earlier podcast on why people feel lost because they're not connected to their purpose. They're not lost because they lack purpose, but because they have become disconnected from the deeper part of themselves that already knows their purpose. And one of the biggest misconceptions about purpose is that it must be some grand mission that changes the world. Sometimes the purpose is expressed through raising conscious children or healing generational trauma. It could be teaching, it could be creating art, it could be serving your community. Purpose is not always about what you do, is how you affect people, what about who you become and how that person affects other people. And our purpose, I think, unfolds in layers. It's not like, it's just one absolute purpose throughout. It kind of, well, it is a general purpose, but there are layers to it again. Say at 20, your purpose may be learning, understanding what about your purpose, if whether your purpose is to discover some new mathematical equation or to work with special needs children or whatever it may be. So say in your 20s, your purpose may be learning about that. And at 40, your purpose may have been evolved into opening a school for children, or expressing that mathematical equation that affected the world. At 60, your purpose might be mentoring others along the same guidelines and topics that you have been flowing through your whole life. And I hope I'm being clear about this, but um, the outer expressions of our purpose may change a bit, but the soul's core mission remains consistent. And many of us have spent years building a life that reflects other people's expectations instead of our own truth. And that is the sad thing. And it's hard because many people, when they think about purposes, what is it that I can do or I'm supposed to be doing to make money? And that's not particularly your purpose. Your purpose is how you serve in the world, how you show up, what you contribute. And we get nudges, our soul continuously sends us signals. And sometimes it may take an illness or a near-death experience or the loss of a loved one to really kind of bring us back to focus on our purpose. And sometimes it doesn't have to be that drastic. It could be something we see in a movie that triggers a thought that says, wow, I should be doing so and so. This is what I've been wanting to do my whole life, but have not allowed myself to think about that I can actually do it. So really, our purpose is what brings us joy, what's our passion, so oftentimes we are not even able to connect with our passion because we have all of these other things going on, expectations of other people and how we should show up and how we should look in the world so that we're not judged and this and that. Um, but again, just learning how to listen and feel that, wait, if we're not totally happy with what we're doing in this world, then it means that we have not aligned with our purpose. And the choices we make influence how quickly we align with our purpose. Um, So they sometimes it might, instead of a purpose being a straight road, it might take us off to one side and all the way around and then come back, years later. So again, there's no one particular specific path for connecting everyone. There's no formula for connecting to your purpose, I guess is what I'm trying to say. um, it's just being open and aligning and thinking about what is it that brings me joy and passion. And later on this podcast, I'll talk about some ways that you can possibly connect with your purpose.
Wow. I mean, you've explained that so so well, so eloquently, you know. And because it's so relatable, to be honest, you know, I'm here like, man, you know, yeah, that sounds like some stuff I've been through, you know. So I feel like everyone listening in can definitely relate to all that Dr. Linda has said, or a lot of what she has said, because indeed the journey of, you know, discovering your purpose is in fact a journey. It's not a straight journey. It is a journey that has many layers to it. And we have to be so open to that experience and that, you know, that unfolding in a sense, because it's not a just a one stop and go. It's like you're gonna make a couple turns, you're gonna climb a hill, you're gonna roll, you're gonna have to swim, you know, even if you can't swim, you figure it out, you know. And that's the life that we have, you know, and there's no going around it. It's taken me such a long time to, you know, come to grips with the fact that the life that we have, this experience, it's not a cut and dry situation. It's not a, you know, it has many different levels and experiences to it that you have to be open to, and you have to understand that uniqueness of this experience of being in this dimension. it's different, you know, and it's so interesting. But as you were talking, Dr. Lena, I was thinking about my own life really, and I'm like just like reflecting on moments that I've had around discovering my own purpose. And for me, I look back on my younger years when I think like in my teenage years how frustrated I used to be with life, so why am I here, like why would God put me here, to be dealing with all of it, like it didn't make any sense, and I was so frustrated with just being here, until I got to this place of just being curious. It's like I shifted that focus to being curious, kind of like how you described in our previous episode about pivoting, like just shifting that situation into a different framework. I shifted my frustrations, my anger to being curious and to being very
Mm.
inquisitive about life, just wanting to seek knowledge, wanting to seek wisdom. And I really dedicated myself to that for many years because I was just it just didn't make sense to be here and to not have an idea as to what it is this is all about. And that's what brought me into this space of, pursuing like higher knowledge with respect to spirituality and just seeking to understand more about why we're here and what are we doing within this experience. And I think it's so important, and we've spoken about this in a few episodes about this idea of having this divine spark within us. And I think it is a very interesting thought when you think about it that we're all like an individual spark from the divine. And this is not like a woo talk or something that is just random, at our, quantum aspect, we're like beings of light, really, and these things that we say, I know sometimes we might not elaborate so much on them, but I do push you to do your research, look into these things, we're not saying them just off any random vibes, this is real talk, guys. This is all real talk. But really touching on the whole divine spark, I think even just looking at it from an analogy standpoint, as Dr. Linda was saying with respect to purpose, it's something that is there. I really do believe that it's there within us. Because if for example, you want to think of, let's say, what is it called? An acorn, right? An acorn, which we all know comes from an or oak tree, or families of oak trees, right? Now, once that acorn comes to, materializes, you know, I'm pretty sure that acorn doesn't have to go above and beyond to manifest into an acorn. It is ingrained within it that it is an acorn. It is not a walnut. It is, it is not a peanut. It's not a pecan, guys. It is an acorn, right? No, that is inherently there. And some will say through us from a genetic standpoint, potentially, or even from the same divine spark, just from the light spectrum, because information is transmitted through light, you know. So I do believe that we come into this plane, come into this space of existence, having the innate abilities or purposes that we know that we're here to do. But we, just like the acorn, we do need the right soil. We do need the right water, we need the right nourishment, the sunlight and a little care here and there to facilitate that process. So it's not a matter of having to chase anything, like Dr. Linda was saying, where some motivations might be around, money or other things that might be motivating why you're doing or living your life a certain way. But it is a situation where it's not a matter of anything need to be chased or are attained. When it comes on to your purpose, it's more so of an unfolding, but you giving yourself and feeding yourself with the right information, putting yourself around the right people, being in the right environments that will facilitate that deeper inquiry. Because what it boils down to is a relationship to self. And the episodes that we've been doing up to this point have been like setting that framework for you to realize that yes, there are factors that can be in the way that are blocking you, but you have the power to transcend all of those factors, right? You have the ability to move beyond that because at the end of the day, you inherently already have everything that you need. Like everything that you need to be living the life that you want, to be experiencing the joy that you want, to be, you know, whether it is that you want to be of benefit to the broader, globe or just your local community or just within your family. The purpose that you have can be on any of those levels. But I know, of course, with the advent of the internet and social media, everybody's thinking like big. And if they don't make that big move, then it's like, oh, I didn't accomplish anything. But no, guys, like it can be just like Dr. Linda said, as small as you making a personal shift in your life. You could have just come into this plane in this dimension just to make a shift in your life, to break that pattern, to heal that trauma, to break that rift so that going forward in the lives that come beyond, it sets you on a different path, right? And it does that for your family, for your line as well. So it is important that you recognize that, this idea of purpose really stems with your relationship to yourself. And the more you know yourself, the more you engage with um understanding how, like Dr. Linda was saying, how different phases in your life contributes to how you identify the identity that you have and how you identify to the external world and how that really culminates into this idea of a purpose. It cannot be because of the external factors. It has to be something that intuitively and inherently you're acknowledging that you're bringing forth as an expression. So that divine purpose, that purpose that is within you, will only be made manifest through the expression that is there, nudging at you to be free, it's like, you have that feeling that I really want to be doing this. I really, want to be sharing this, but it's like you're like, no, but if I do that, then XYZ and XY. No, guys, you have to move beyond that, guys. We had to move beyond that. Not just for sick, but even in our individual journeys with Dr. Linda having big talk and me having raw consciousness. Like we had to get to a point in our own journeys where we have to think beyond the external factors and think like what is really deeply rooted within me at this phase of my life? Is it something that is framed by my family? Is it something that's framed by my education, by my partner? Or is it something that is truly reflective of what is within me? And that is the question. So, you know, just bear in mind that you have to build that self-confidence and that self-love within you. Start there, start that inquiry within, and allow that to, you know, bring to you what it will, because it will. Your intuition will speak to you. You will get those nudges. Circumstances will, push you into a certain direction. But don't fall prey to the conditioning and the external factors that are manipulating that journey. Truly stay true to who you are and ensure that you're around people who can help you to see that truth within yourself, right? So I really hope that what we've been saying, it really sheds some light as to or on, this idea of moving into your space of divine purpose. I see you, Dr. Linda. So yeah, go ahead, Dr. Linda. You were gonna say something.
Well, I was just going to add to what you were saying that some people are doing their purpose but don't know it. And just, they're enjoying and doing it, but maybe questioning themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but they're actually doing their purpose. But they may be influenced by other people's opinions about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And so, or comparing what they're doing to what's on social media and really get off track. They're already on track, on target, doing their purpose or right there on their way to do their purpose, but then get knocked off that track. So it's important to know that you may be doing your purpose if what you're doing brings you joy and peace and uh, you're passionate about it. Chances are you're already doing your purpose.
I agree 1,000%. And I think both of us can speak to, the fact that when you are in that situation, it does help when you have a good community around you. because having people who are like-minded will definitely like be like a knock on the door to remind you like, hey, like, yeah, you're on it. Like you're doing what you need to be doing or what it because to be honest, it's like people can tell. People really can tell, like it's very evident in how you are, your energy, your vibe, like it becomes very self-evident that this is you. And I think ensuring that you find those communities or at least like have really, authentic people around you that can really share from that standpoint and not be around people who are like just constantly criticizing or, just, dimming that light, So it is important if you're somebody in that position where you're doing it, but it's like you're doubting or you're like you're not even aware, put yourself around other people who are pursuing their passions. It doesn't have to be, this is not just about a spiritual context as well, guys. This is just generally also. It is important that you put yourself around people who help you to see that essence within you. Because it will ultimately translate to a higher purpose at some point, whether even if you might not see it now, but it will, or it is, you know. So yeah. So at this point, I will share a short passage. I realize I've been pulling a lot from the Gospel of Thomas, and as I mentioned in the previous episodes, when I've read a verse from here, this is a Gnostic gospel, so you might not hear it in a traditional context as the gospel. I thought like, what is that? So it is a Gnostic text. So again, you can look that up online, but this particular saying, because the Gospel of Thomas has a lot of Jesus's sayings, right? So this one in particular, it says, and this is saying number three or verse number three. It says, "The kingdom is within you, and it is outside you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the children of the living Father." And I think that's like an amazing verse because the reality is, guys, the kingdom is within you. And like we were saying earlier, this journey of self-discovery, this journey of attuning to your higher sense of self, aligning with a divine purpose, it starts with you truly knowing you. It can't be from the standpoint of what mommy thinks, of what daddy thinks, of what my boss thinks, of what my children think. No, you have to know you and really move through life through that perspective. So know yourself, know that that divine essence is within you, know that the kingdom resides within you and outside of you. And once you move into that space of acknowledgement, trust me, the shift will make itself manifest, man. I promise. I promise. It won't fail. Right. So I hope that resonates with someone who's listening in. So I'll pass it over to Dr. Linda so you can do your thing.
I want to talk about just briefly some daily practices
Oh
for.
yes, go ahead, Dr. Linda. Yes.
So, practice one is silence. Try to find a few minutes a day just to sit in stillness. Just sit and I call mine space out time. For me, it's like when I first get up in the morning and I'm not totally here. I haven't integrated back yet. I just may be standing in the bathroom, just staring off in space. Just that's my stillness time where I'm just allowing my mind to just float. And it's funny when I'm in that stillness state, I don't have a lot of thoughts. I'm just sort of like spacing out. Um, but it creates space to hear inner guidance. Another practice is self-inquiry. If you're feeling frustrated with what you're doing now, or you think, oh, my life is just falling apart, or things aren't coming together, what feels meaningful is a good question to ask yourself. If what I'm doing now ain't working, what feels meaningful? And then allow yourself to entertain thoughts and possibilities out and potential outside of what you're doing. And then what gives me energy? sometimes we do things and it just really, really energizes me. Like one of the things I do is I make jewelry and I love it. And when I get into making it, I'm in it. I don't have thoughts or anything else other than what I'm doing. I do it for hours and I'm just in a zone. And it energizes me and relaxes me. Um, what feels aligned? What feels like a good fit or what is like off? Think about that. And then meditation is another practice. It develops your awareness of intuition. And again, it allows you to clear out those fearful thoughts and just allows you to get more in touch with your inner wisdom. And when I say meditation, that means just sitting and being still with the intention of, as much as possible, clearing your mind, um, and just allowing spirit or your inner guidance to connect with you. And so sometimes with meditation, sometimes if you just because the mind is so active, and then you say, okay, I'm not going to have this thought, I'm going to shut down my mind. You can't do it because the mind is stronger than your will to control the mind, because that's coming from the mind too. So the best thing to do is when you're in a meditative state and you start having thoughts, allow them to flow like, I've got to go to the cleaners. And just allow that thought, instead of saying, okay, I need to take this, I have two sweaters and this, instead of getting into going down a rabbit hole with that thought, just let it. And then another, and oh, I gotta go to the grocery store. Instead of making a grocery list in your head, just let that thought go by. So it's allowing the thoughts to go through your mind, but not energizing them. And also, some other techniques for meditation is just focusing on what they call a mantra or one word like Om or I am or Jesus or whatever, that one word that you repeat over and over and over again in your mind. And if you're focusing on repeating that over and over and over again in your mind, then that's where your thought is focused, and you won't have all these thoughts flowing in and out because you're just focusing on one thought on one thing. Um, and then another practice to incorporate in there is follow the nudges. Sometimes we get these inspired ideas because I have another podcast called Big Talk with Dr. Linda, Black Inner Goddess. And one morning I woke up and I said, you need to do a retreat and you need to do it in Mexico. And within 15 minutes, I had outlined the retreat. And within, I guess, about 5 months, I held a retreat. So it's like acting on inspired ideas. It's also helpful to understand, oh, I'm on purpose. Um, and sometimes a nudge is just from a word or a sentence or something that somebody says that sparks turns on a light bulb, or a line from a movie that you're watching that goes, oh, okay. So again, paying attention to the nudges, and also service, is helpful. How can I use my gifts or talents to contribute to others, to help others? And I'm not saying that you have to go and work in a soup kitchen or something like that. It's just that you may have particular talents or gifts that there's ways that you can use that to help others. Um, and sometimes purpose becomes clearer when it's expressed through service. So, having said that, I want to do a close out breathing exercise. As you know, at the end of these podcasts, I think it's important for us to start thinking about the breath and how important it is, um, to everything, really. And that's another two or three podcast to cover the breath. And at some point, I'm going to start doing a deeper dive into how the breath can control a lot of things. But right now, we're going to do some belly breaths. So begin to focus your mind on just being open to your purpose. And then when we breathe through our nose, we when we exhale, we breathe through our mouth. And when we do, we can exhale with a sound like so we're releasing any blocks that we may have to embracing our purpose. So we focused our mind on being open to it. And then as we breathe, we want to release in any blocks that we have to embracing what comes to us. So we're going to take a big inhale, expanding the belly as big as it can, breathing, opening up into the lungs. And then when we exhale through the mouth, we're going to make a sound. And this exhale releases blocks that may be, again, impeding our purpose. So, again, inhale through the belly, expand the chest through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. Again, focusing your mind on being open to your purpose. And one more, expanding the breath, big belly breath in, expanding the chest through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. Releasing any blocks that you may have to embracing your purpose. All right.
Man, if I didn't feel like I was ready to do my purpose, I feel like that now. Oh man, thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Lynn. That was wonderful, man. Amazing practices for sure, guys. I mean, all these things, I know, listening in, but definitely take action on these things. Don't just listen to the episodes and don't take action. Take intentional action with everything that we've said, especially with those practices, because it really will help. Trust me. I, my life is a testimony to all these things, and I'm sure Dr. Linda's life is as well, and they will continue to be important pillars in our spiritual journey, in our journey to expressing our purposes, etc. So please do them and be intentional with that, so with that being said, guys, we really do hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do like, share. If you know this information can be relevant to a friend, family member, whoever it is, just hit that share button, copy the link, send it over to them, and send them our way. If you have any inquiries or if there's any topics that you want us to particularly focus on, you can drop it in the comments, or you can send us an email at spiritinspiredconversation@gmail.com as well. But we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to this channel growing and for you guys growing with us along the journey. So thank you guys so much. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
All right. Peace.